All right, welcome back, everybody. It's your pal Orange Hat here. Tonight, I got a guest with me, Novus Renaissance. How are you?
I'm doing excellent. Thank you, Orange, and it's great to be here.
All right, and we are doing a weekly recap, number 7 to be specific. We had some interesting goings on, and hello to everybody in the chat. Sub to Novus's channel. I got the link right here for you all. He's a good YouTuber, up and coming and whatnot. And hello, Darth Zathra. Thank you for tuning in. So we got some juicy topics for you, folks. And the first one is my favorite because it was the only thing that put a smile on my face the first thing that put a smile on my face over the last week, because actually there was another cool thing that's going on. So, yeah, Taylor Swift apparently can't take a joke. And hey, Vanya, good to see you. Thank you for coming in. And yes, you were on time. Thank you, Darth Zathra. And greetings all.
Go, go Swift, go Swifty, right?
Yeah. So yeah, Taylor Swift. Everybody's been loving Taylor Swift because of her Eras tour and the way that she's taken all of that attention away from the Kansas City Chiefs. Yeah, let's get into this from Entertainment Weekly. Taylor Swift appears to be unamused after Joe Coy Golden Globes joke doesn't land. Honestly, I thought it landed perfectly.
Whether it landed or not, it got the dark Phoenix grim stare from the
if looks
Marvel
could kill,
cinematic. Yeah.
If he would have been Ash.
She did a Thanos, but with her eyes.
Yeah. I mean, folks, we can't play the video because I will immediately, and when I say immediately, I mean immediately get a copyright claim. Because that's literally what happened when I was uploading the video. Not 3 seconds into the uploading process, I got the claim. And it's like, are you fucking kidding me?
Power of the Swiftie shall not be underestimated.
Yeah. She's a billionaire, so Taylor's son of a... It's
she heard you. She heard you.
Yeah. Oh, it's an app thing.
She got you.
Yeah, that's my notification thing for my phone, where it's the charge up for Godzilla's atomic breath. But anyway, Taylor Swift didn't seem like she wanted to shake it off after a joke at her expense failed. No, it didn't. At the 2024 Golden Globes. After a commercial break during Sunday's award show, which aired on CBS, Communists' broadcasting system, right after NFL's Kansas City Chiefs versus Los Angeles Chargers game, host Joe Coy said, as you know, we came off of a football doubleheader. The big difference between the Golden Globes and the NFL, on the Golden Globes, we have fewer camera shots of Taylor Swift, I swear. And he's like, I'm so sorry. After he saw this look from her face. I mean, folks, she takes the look and then she takes some wine and she's like,
if looks could kill, strike out.
I mean, get this, but that's not the big part of this, folks. Yes, she was acting like a real whiner here because she couldn't handle it. To the camera, of course, cut to Swift seated at her table next to her friend Kaylee Teller. No idea who that is. And she played her reaction to the joke, which was an obvious reference to the airtime she gets when she attends boyfriend Travis Kelce's Chiefs game, very straight. The Grammy winner remained extremely straight-faced and took a sip of her drink, which I believe was cherry wine. Yeah. And as Teller mouths something to her. Now, she previously told Time of the unwanted attention. I'm just there to support Travis. I have no awareness of if I'm being shown too much and pissing a few dads, brads, and chads, or pissing off a few dads, brads, and chads. Well, right there says you want the attention. Because your snarky little shit comment right there. And also, if you didn't want the attention, you would have actually asked the NFL, kind of focus on the game a little bit, because people are here to watch the game, not watch me. I have music tours for that.
As long as she had the express consent of the network and the NFL, National Football League.
Yeah, she also could buy the Chiefs if she wanted. She is a billionaire.
That's actually a great point. That's a great point. She could definitely buy the Jags. They're always open.
Yeah, that's true. It's unclear if Coy could see Swift's face or if it was all a joke Swift was in on, but after the moment didn't really land with the audience, yes, it did, he laughed and said, sorry about that, before moving on. Watch the entire exchange below. We can't watch the exchange below, folks, because they will copyright claim you. Swift didn't let it stop her from enjoying the rest of the evening, however. In true Swift Awards fashion, she could be seen laughing loudly at different jokes made by Jim Gaffigan, posing for photos with bestie Selena Gomez and apparent fan Bill Hader. Yeah, he's such a fan, he hates her. Anyway.
Haters gonna hate.
Yep. And she was quick to hop out of her seat to give a standing ovation to the team behind Barbie. Well, that tells you everything you need to know, folks. But it's the fact that she couldn't take the joke, man. I mean, this is why you need people like Ricky Gervais.
Savage.
And it's
man.
like, bring that dude back. Because he's like, when you come up for your award, don't go on some political rant. Just thank you, Mama, thank you, God, thank you, Mama, thank you, God, and fuck off. It's that
he takes no nonsense at all.
Yeah, and that's why he's freaking loved by everybody. But yeah,
there's two interesting things with this dimension. One, as if people don't know about Joe Coy, I mean he's fought hard to get where he is at. So, and you can see if you go back and watched it. We just watched like 5 minutes highlights. Like he's genuinely excited, and like overwhelming, because he's like he like kind of goes off. So he's like, oh look, there's Robert De Niro, there's this guy, there's that guy. And the second thing is like even with the Taylor and the Hollywood drama, the class at least is a whole different level between this exchange and what happened at the Oscars with Jada Pinkett Smith. So at least the biggest thing we see is the cold gaze of the female. And Joy Coy's like, oh, maybe I messed with the wrong person. But at the end of the day, the show went on. And I mean, it's all about marketing, the brand, negative promotion, positive promotion.
It was said in jest. I mean, you could even see her friend smiling here. Her Kaylee Teller friend there. I mean, she obviously thought it was a little bit funny, along with the people in the background here. I mean, you see smiles on their face. But it's like,
I think
Taylor,
she was thinking about
Taylor.
Travis Kelce. She clearly was like, don't mess with the Chiefs. That's my man. That's what she's thinking about behind that stare.
Yeah, probably. But honestly, it's like, learn to take a joke, woman. I mean, don't be like those trans idiots that think that everything that Dave Chappelle is literally some sort of pseudo-physical attack against your person. Because honestly, if you can't take a joke in this world, what can you take? Rather not, or except, well, in her case, except for her fans' money. So,
and then a Golden Globe for her. Yeah. I've never seen anybody do that. Make a concert for their fan base of a movie. But hey, there you go.
I know, right? And the fucking thing is, my own fucking movie theater, my small town movie theater from my hometown, they fucking put that shit on. And it's like, and you wonder why you're losing business. Because you don't put shit that people want on. You're instead putting it shit that nobody's ever fucking heard of. I mean, put on some fucking Godzilla -1. It's now being put up around the fucking world, and yet they never did. But that was when it had, I'll be fair, that's when it had the limited release. But still, it's like, you're putting up all the wrong shit. Nobody cares about the Marvels anymore. Nobody cares about fucking Aquaman anymore. Look at how those movies did. They sucked. They flopped.
And we have the data now with the last 2 years. We have the data now the last 2 years where you pair COVID and the age of streaming, and what a film, which we'll talk about later, Top Gun Maverick, it got people back in the seats because of story and star power, kind of like classic 1980s, 1990s.
Oh
So
yeah.
the film, if you have an actual physical theater, you actually are sitting on a treasure trove of 70 to 80 years of film. The first black and white films came out, I think, as early as 1918, but definitely 1920s. So you could literally take, starting with the 1930s, all the black and white, all the classic films, and we're just going to start releasing it, work our way up. There's like over 60,000. I might be off by 5 or 10K, but I think there's over 60,000 films in the American Film Institute registers. Like, just start there and go all the way back up. And most people don't even know about them. So the creativity is lost in, and then we
Yeah.
have Miss Swift that's able to, I mean, now we're probably going to start to see a lot of people going to concerts, but what that will do, people won't go to their concerts. So I'll just wait for the movie and watch it in my living room. And who knows, that might have
Yep.
unintended consequences.
It's called a couch concert. That's what they're calling them. Couch concerts
That's funny.
for the couch potatoes. But didn't she also fart into a microphone one time, or was that just because she had that microphone like very precariously placed in a picture?
We cannot confirm or deny that.
Would have been fucking hilarious if she had. But anyway, so yeah, I just think it's absolutely nuts that people can't or are so freaking uptight that they can't even take a joke. So moving on to a bad joke, you're crazy.
Yeah.
So moving on to our next one, James Gunn.
I don't think this guy wants any jokes right now.
No, he doesn't. James Gunn, who everybody hates, especially me. Let's switch the banner. Yeah, James Gunn is accused with associating with Epstein by flying on the infamous Epstein plane Lolita Express, as disturbing past comes back to haunt him. Now, folks, there are going to be tweets that are going to be shown in this article of stuff he actually posted. And it's going to show you that he's, well, very demented. And I think that he may actually be a closeted P-file, shall we say. Not piss-file, but pedophile.
And this is one of our main points with it, is that, you know, this is category 1, because we also looked at some of the stuff that he's got for the about 11 months ago. He went into like, here's the new movie lineup with the grand plan.
Mm-hmm.
James Gunn now secretly 99.99% is hoping that he has a fair hearing, that he has a just, quote, justice system, that he basically gets what everything that Johnny Depp didn't get. Because it's one thing, he's got the history, which you'll review with the tweets, so that's a whole different category that raises questions, fiery hiring. But just because he's on the plane, he's, you know, it's like the evidence is he's on the plane, that's one thing.
Well,
but then if there's other evidence, it's like, okay, here we go. But he probably hopes, let me have a fair hearing, people, don't judge me. But how many people has he slammed, or has he destroyed, or been part of that, basically that French Revolution crowd that's saying like, oh, they're guilty. So anyway.
But yeah, let's get into this, because it actually turns out he wasn't on the plane. So spoilers ahead. Following his takeover of DC Studios, James Gunn has faced numerous instances of criticism and backlash. Things have now escalated to a new level, with James Gunn facing accusations of allegedly visiting Epstein's island. Since flight logs for those who traveled to Epstein's private island or private plane, the Lolita Express, have surfaced, the controversy surrounding him has gained new attention in the media. According to one social media user, Gunn was one of the passengers on his plane. Was that before or after you went to Epstein's island? So he then responded, some fan distributing online lies about or without bothering to check out if they're true or not. Here's the flight logs. Spoiler, I'm not in or on them, of course. And except here's some of the stuff that you or the original interaction appears to have been deleted as of this writing, or obviously, or of course, as they said. But yeah, here's some stuff that he has said in the past. Mary Matthews just told me a story about how a monkey wanked to completion on a kid on the set of Max Keeble's Big Move. This isn't the first time that James Gunn's past has come back to haunt him in response to Gunn's public criticisms of former President Trump in 2018. Commentator Mike Cernovich drew attention to controversial jokes about that sort of stuff that is absolutely disgusting, as well as a German event of mass murder. Gunn posted on social media between 2008 and 2012. In the aftermath of the tweets, Disney fired, then rehired Gunn as director of the upcoming Guardians 3.
And that right there, because people say things, ultimately we need to go off of evidence. But we are within the entertainment industry, and everybody made such a large deal, right, wrong, or indifferent about the Me Too movement, and ultimately at the core of it was an issue of morals and ethics. So James Gunn, and if you look on the video or on the article that you said, I mean that's even these comments are from 2009, but there was a conscious decision to rehire him. And now with all of this coming forward to fruition and with this latest thing, it's like, does DC really care about these things? Do these corporations care about it, or is this virtue signaling? And this is even beside the fact if his strategy works. But and they're very unfortunate, and it's that kind of two system where, like, well, one for one, one for the other.
And that's the thing. These are some of the jokes that he, or not jokes, but these are some of the things that he posted online, folks, of young children and doing that. And the best thing about being that is when you're done being that, it's like, whew, this feels great, not being that. This is the stuff that he posted. And he then gives his bullshit apology. And I call it a bullshit apology because this is a person that has made or hosted parties that were pedophile themed. There's no way to get around the word pedophile. He hosted a party that was pedophile themed. And he's making these jokes online, regardless of if they were 10 or 15 years ago. This sort of behavior is very disgusting.
And what's that big impact as well? Who's in charge now of this DCU? Who sacked Henry Cavill, who is ultimately, for all intents and purposes, the modern face of Superman, until there could have been a handoff. Definitely shouldn't have been that way. So you have DC backing already a man of questionable character. And again, the official position for us is you need to let the justice process work out. Remember Johnny Depp and what happened to him. So let's let that work out. But you have these statements that are 100% unexcusable. We don't want these type of people to be in charge of the creative forces that shape society, because you're never going to get anything different. And with his 15-year plan that he's talked about, and the last 4 movies that came out were under his leadership, it's like, wait a second, take a decisive action and get rid of him, or at least put him on a long sabbatical of 12 to 24 months until the investigation. But if you're a classy organization, you can't accept this, particularly when you have films like Sound of Freedom coming out highlighting things.
Not only that, I absolutely refuse to go to the theaters if a DC movie is playing that he has had any help watching or making. I will not watch Guardians of the Galaxy 3. When I'm watching the MCU, I won't even watch Guardians 1 and 2 anymore. And those are pretty much somewhat required, not really, but somewhat required watching.
The MCU.
Well, yeah, the MCU now.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, that was confirmed by Echo Girl. So
we saw it on I think it was the Nerdrotic highlight. She Freudian slipped it out, quickly retreated, and it's like, oh no, the MCU. It's like, yep, It's becoming the permanent subculture phraseology now.
Yep. And that's the thing. Everybody's like saying, "Oh, it's a bunch of sexism and shit." And it's like, well, look at all of the female leads. I mean, it's not so much that we're complaining that it's just because they're female. It's just the fact that they're female. So yeah, it is kind of an MCU.
Well,
But yeah,
and you also have, and we won't get into Star Wars. We just make highlight.
yeah,
The latest director. Well, Kathleen Kennedy is ultimately she's the director. She's the prime, Dark Lord of all of the films of Lucasfilm. She has been running it. So I mean, all intents and purposes, she's been the director, and so they bring it on, and there's endless amounts of videos. But one of the things with us at Nova's Renaissance here and Door of Door and Pre Flood Earth, it's like at some point, all these channels that we have are essentially a form of negative promotion, and you got to start creating stuff. And the only way, like with DC, the only way to truly give consequences to organizations that have vast amounts of wealth and power, prospectively, within the framing of the flat fountainhead with Ayn Rand, is to not see their film. Just
yep.
flat out, like our position is we're just not going to go see any more Star Wars films. We'll have
And
highlights of
me,
maybe a response, and that's it.
I mean, that's the thing. Me, I can easily say that because I don't want that kind of I don't want to give them any sort of attention. But unfortunately, there are the bigger channels like Nerdrotic and them who are saying that these films are all going to have to be looked at by us so that we can discuss them for the audience. And yeah, I get that while you are bigger names, one thing I definitely would say while you guys are having those major while you're having your ego streams and whatnot, um basically let them know that if you really want to hit them where it hurts, do it with your wallets. Don't encourage watching the films. I
Absolutely won't.
mean, if they're good, fine. But honestly, if they're coming from James Gunn, I would make sure that a different movie got the money. Or in my case, it's like I'm sorry, but I don't want to support anything that James Gunn has done. And a lot of people are like, well, that's how are you going to have your channel flourish? I retooled my channel because I was sick of seeing boring ass movies in the theater all the time. So I stopped going to the theaters and retooled my channel to older movies and to just entertainment news and some movie discussions with Mara and others. But now this is my channel. It's more entertainment based, which is why I took out the orange hat reviews and just put orange hat. But
But
moving on,
you should do a review
go ahead.
every now and then because we did
Right.
like some of the stuff that you did. But
Well,
you know,
that's what my discussions are for. The
yeah,
ones that I have with Mara every couple of months. Because every time I do a review, well, it's like 10 to 15 views. And that's it. That's where it dies out. And it's like, that's not helping my channel, you know?
this is the irony. Old journalism course with a retired gentleman. This is the older New York Times era, all the
Mhm.
news that's fit to print. So this is 60s, 70s Watergate stuff, and basically in the course, it's a double. It's a conundrum because like these you have to for the news and now the media you have to generate leads, you have to generate hits, views, and so the old phrase was if it bleeds, it leads. 10 o'clock
Yep.
news. The irony, it kind of gets into Tolkien-esque, is that you get into a wraithing process as a small creator, where if you're only talking about literally the corporations and the behemoths um, productions, you are negative promotion and critical, but you're still providing that.
Yeah.
One of our positions with Rings of Power is we're just not going to watch a show. We can take on so-called academics like Corey Olson, who has he's not a Tolkien professor, and Sarah Brown, his associate. There's enough out there if you just read the material and see what they're doing to wipe them off in a classic debate. But to go on there and do the hour by hour play by play, you're just promoting it because people will go and watch it. So if your end state is to stop that and to minimize it, it's not going to achieve it. And then you're headed in a good direction. This is we've got our door to door versus what can you
Mhm.
create to add to the branch, the cauldron of story.
I mean,
So
in my business, I'm doing, or me personally, I like doing fanfics, which is why I'm doing that Dark Marvel story. Um, I talked about that in my last weekly recap, I believe, or the one before that.
please give the Enchantress her due.
Oh, her
Please.
due was already done.
Yeah.
I've moved on to Loki and now on to Iceman next.
Give her a
So
round two. She's always been a favorite.
she's already dead, so and so
That
is
doesn't
Loki.
matter. You can just resurrect everybody. There's like no one's ever dead, right?
Not in
It's just like,
this
oh, we're
or not in this universe, or not in this universe. They're
oh, so
dead,
you
dead.
actually have consequences
Hmm.
to the actions.
Oh yeah, and these
And
are all basically short stories. They're not meant to be like 30-page chapters. So these are short stories that are, because I got like 250 people that I'm killing in this in this story.
and
You know,
since it's not the Blackest Night, there's no resurrection of the dead.
exactly. So moving on to our next topic, William Shatner apparently Rex Paramount here. So Star Trek icon William Shatner roasts Paramount's continued attempts to memory hole Captain Kirk. Makes no difference to me that a group who think they are enlightened obviously feels threatened by the character. So yeah, William Shatner has never the one to let the whining to even his most ardent critics get to him. William Shatner recently admitted that he is unfazed by Paramount's Plus ongoing attempts to erase his iconic Captain Kirk from Star Trek history because, simply put, he knows their petty attempts at doing so will have little, if any, effect on his well-established legacy as the character's first leading man. Exactly, and that's the thing, folks. When I think Star Trek, I'm not thinking about Picard or the Next Generation. I'm thinking Captain Kirk. You know?
We actually hold to the fact of the reality. It should be Admiral Kirk. We completely
Well, yeah.
disagree with the Federations and hold it in contempt. So we always refer to him as Admiral Kirk.
Well, then there you go.
Yeah.
Shatner offered his opinion on Paramount's memory holing of his famous Starfleet captain or admiral on January 6th while answering fans' questions via his personal Twitter account. The convention, which led to the reveal, began when user Colm Dunphy asked the actor for his thoughts on the negativity about Sir Patrick's announcement that there's a Picard movie script in the works. To which Shatner proudly shared an animated GIF of Disney's Snow White dancing alongside the text, "Hate is gonna hate," and declared, "I think that a new movie with Sir Patrick is wonderful news."
The real Snow White.
Yeah, the real Snow White, not that one that Rachel Zegler is trying to portray.
Zegler.
Yeah. Continuing on the subject of returning franchise leads, user Herostraeus, I don't know. Then pressed Shatner, but will we ever see Captain Kirk again? In turn, the actor shared a current shot of Paramount Plus's app's Star Trek collection banner graphic, in which every single television entry in the franchise is visually represented by their respective leads, save for The Next Generation, which is embodied by Geordie LaForge due to Picard serving as the face of his solo series, and the original series, for which no apparent reason is championed by Spock instead of Kirk, and cheekily told the fan, "All you have to do is look at the Paramount Plus graphics to answer that question." Yeah.
Well, they do
where's
have
Kirk?
Galvatron on there, so AKA Leonard Nimoy, rest his soul.
Yeah.
I don't think Admiral Kirk can fit because he's so awesome. He can't be contained in
True.
this collage of modernity.
What they really
Minus-
should have done was put Kirk's eyes in like the overlord of the space, kind of like they did with that Palpatine toy in episode 9. Like just make his eyes like the biggest freaking eyes you could ever see.
Right. And then also you go back, one of our favorite Star Trek films, Star Trek 6, and I think some movie posters or some shots like General Chang's eyes are like in the deep recesses of space, saying, it's just, "I've so wanted to meet you, Captain." I can't say the same. That's one of our faves.
Taking note of user Kick 47-256's subsequent questioning as to whether or not anyone at Paramount had ever come out with an official explanation for this massive flub. The actor retweeted their inquiry and revealed it's not the first time, it's been going on for years. It makes no difference to me that a group who think they are enlightened or whatever they think they are obviously feels threatened by the Kirk character. It's a character from a 1960s show. Get over it. And by the way, if it wasn't for William Shatner and what's her name who played Uhura?
Yes. The gentle lady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They did the first interracial on-screen kiss. So yeah.
There's also, and fun fact with that, she was getting, this was on an Instagram reel that we saw.
Mhm.
She was actually getting ready to quit. And Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who, we're in the weekend for it, he actually had a conversation with her, and because he loved Star Trek. And apparently it was a huge, in the African American community at that time, they all loved it because they saw, one of their own in a leading role, like not typecast, but an actual role. And she was saying, like, basically to him that she was going to quit. He's like, you can't quit. You have to stay. And that's the decision that that conversation drove her to remain on the show. And that's
The
what's so,
movies.
when you have
Yeah.
the show and the movies, and and that's the thing, is like when you have the actual quality of the character, you kind of, you forget about those nuances of the externals. And
Yeah.
she is always Lahura, and then there's Captain Spock and Captain Kirk / Admiral Kirk and all the characters. Like it's the team. That's why Star Trek 6, is it's
Mhm.
really the bittersweet farewell letter, because when Captain Kirk, William Shatner, is giving his final monologue, like, this is the final crew of the cruise of the Enterprise under my command, like you have that bridge shot with all those characters that have basically been holding the watch for about 30 to 40 years. They're saying goodbye as the team and giving it to
Mhm.
Sir Patrick Stewart and his next generation. But
Yeah.
no, it's the legacy of Giants is into small beans now, unfortunately.
Yeah. Because Shatner, I mean, he's always been apolitical. He's never
He has.
really delved into politics as much
He
as
has
the
not.
rest of the cast's members have, the ones that are still alive anyway. I don't even think Nichelle Nichols got into politics. I mean, honestly, she stayed out of it. I believe also Leonard Nimoy never really got into politics. Not, or most of them always remained apolitical, except for George Takei. And well, we all know what he's been or saying. I mean, that dude went full on racist. I have a short of how he's being totally racist to Justice Clarence Thomas of the Supreme Court. But continuing on with the article here,
Which is
and if
ironic because he's
yeah,
he's of Asian American, specifically Japanese descent, and then there's
mhm,
that abominable incident that happened, in World War II, where
yeah, the
but
concentration
he
camps.
but he was actually a child going to that, so it's kind of
Yep,
like, really, it's the irony of ironies.
yeah. So, continuing, in a follow up tweet, the legendary actor further assured his concerned fans, it doesn't bother me in the least. A bunch of self righteous strangers thinking they are sending a message by erasing the past. Who's going to forget? It's everywhere. It's so indoctrinated that it will take many generations to be forgotten no matter what they do. Let it be. Finally, finding himself having said all he wanted on the topic, Shatner ultimately closed out the discussion by sharing an animated GIF of Schitt's Creek actor Dan Levy can be seen exclaiming, "We're going to move on," during his February 2021 appearance on Saturday Night Live.
This is a good touch. All the
Yeah,
Priceline commercials that he did are coming through in the Freebird.
nice. So Shatner's next confirmed project, and as of yet undisclosed in voice role in Kevin Smith's upcoming Masters of the Universe Revolution, is currently on track to debut sometime in 2024. Yeah,
Oh,
sorry, but I'm not
that
a
right
fan.
there.
Yeah.
we one of the things that Novus Renaissance does when we're into this culture engagement is like we'll actually like write official positions, and I actually pulled it up back, in 2021, well before this thing hits. We published an official position on the Facebook. They said, "Hey, this is a heretical show. Kevin Smith is not going to do it." There was already enough trend stuff that's going on, but Kevin Smith just he degraded it all. And ultimately, why is he doing Masters of the Universe, whatever acronym? He is trying to get with Clerks 3. He wants to
Yeah.
make his lasting, uh, sarcophagus, because he's already talked about how his great fear is becoming increasingly irrelevant. But the man, and this goes into most of the stuff, like, oh no, I'm gonna do well by the series. Now, unfortunately, the animation is superb, and
Yeah,
they've
I'll
got the
give it
music,
that.
you know, well,
Yeah.
like prospectively, like from the female franchise, but like it's great animation, and it's like you have this time where nothing is impossible with CGI or this, and we have this flim flam story where they could have just made that first She-Ra and He-Man uh, special that they did with the Secret of the Sword. It's like,
Hmm.
why? But
I
stop seeing
mean,
them.
when I took a look at the first episode of his thing, of his shit adaptation of Masters of the Universe, because I am a Masters of the Universe fan. I love the original show, and I always thought that it was great when I was a kid watching it growing up.
Both
But
by and for the power and honor of Grayskull.
exactly, and then you have freaking what's her name, Tila, basically saying after fucking soup or after He-Man dies, he lied to me. You're a bunch of fucking assholes, essentially. And it's like, bitch, their son just died. And
Well, the
you're
other
just bitching about, oh, he hurt me. He is such a freaking liar. It's like somebody should honestly walk up to you and just lay you out. You are basically screaming about him being dead or him being an asshole at his funeral.
Now, the
That,
positive thing about this era is that these corporations and these studios, they're not governments, so they can't print their own money. So
yeah,
the more, if you look at, like we look back 30 years, like, oh, this happened, this happened. So what's happening now is these studios and corporations, they are bleeding out their economic ability to make or to subvert this. Because, and this goes back to we'll tie this back to Star Trek as well. Paramount has all the original shows that were so limited by the technology. You
yeah,
have He-Man is a 2 billion, that's with a B, a $2 billion toy
right.
commercial enterprise from the 1980s, and it has dozens and dozens of episodes. And you take all that treasure trove. I mean, what if they just relaunched the entire series in modern animation and then
Yeah,
redubbing? And to lose all that because you want to pursue something that isn't making you money, but because you're driven by ideology, it's mind-boggling. But there comes a time when Constantinople in 1540 or 1453 it collapses, and you can't hold back the barbarians of the gate, and you run out of money. But it's just a shame to see like that because they have them legally locked up, so it's not like anybody else can make them. But
yeah.
oh well.
I mean, when it comes to Kevin Smith, a lot of people are like, oh, he's does some funny stuff. And it's like, to me, there's only been three things that I remember from Kevin Smith that I thought was interesting. One was his little bit role in Daredevil when he's writing how he's going to choke a person to death with their testicles or some shit on a freaking medical chat board. And the other was when he was in Live Free or Die Hard, where he's like this super hacker kind of person. And the only last bit that I thought he was actually pretty funny was when he was talking about his wife who was extremely drunk at a hotel after he just went to see the Millennium Falcon for Star Wars episode or for Star Wars Force Awakens, and where he's talking about how his wife basically freaking insults him during sex. Use the Force, fucker. And it's like, wow, dude, your wife basically just killed you in the middle of sex.
Well, and I
Those were the
mean,
only 3 instances where I actually respect Kevin Smith.
and that's and at the end of the day, somebody like Kevin Smith, you know, he has Clerks. At the end of the day, he's got Clerks, and this was supposed to be his, you know, and I think it was a Clownfish TV with Neon and Geeky Sparkles. They
Mhm.
were the ones that were the pioneers that called the whole thing about Kevin Smith and documented it, about how he said one thing but did another. And
Yeah.
the man is realizing ultimately he hasn't really created anything that will last. Um, and
No.
and and the irony is you have an industry, an American industry of entertainment that is dying because they have nothing. It's modernity. It's the implosion of it's like the black hole imploding, just sucking everything in. And I personally think they don't know what to do. And they might run to AI, which would be a whole different conversation.
Yeah.
Because that's easily 30 minutes. They'll run to AI, but the problem with AI is not a sentient being consciousness. It does what it's programmed, but it recycles you. It recycles the content. So eventually, if you only have a parameter it operates in, it will just recycle it. So you will lose creativity. And when human beings stop doing something like writing, talking in complete sentences, they forget how to do it.
Yep.
That's why we'll win.
Yeah. So moving on to our 4th and final topic of the
Ah,
night.
Top
Top
Gun.
Gun 3 has finally been confirmed in the works, folks. So yeah. The news follows Tom Cruise inking a headline grabbing, though non exclusive, deal with Warriors. So Paramount is hoping to refuel the Top Gun franchise. Now, before I go any further, folks, I absolutely love. Let me get my ass back on camera here. I loved Top Gun Maverick. I mean, I still watch Top Gun Maverick as often as I can because that movie is that rewatchable for me. I've literally watched Top Gun Maverick over 50 times. I make no, or I'm proud of that
We watched the
because I
trailer
am
100 times.
probably did.
It was that good.
Yeah, I mean, this is a movie in which there was no agenda. Well, no political or ideological agenda attached to it. The only thing that was, or the only agenda for this film was to bring back the awesomeness of the 80s, but have it set in now's time.
The last great American decade.
Yeah, and he did that. I mean, well,
He did
honestly,
it
I
in
think
spades,
the
and he got the
90s
Ford.
were peak. Yeah.
Yeah,
But anyway,
that was like the icing on the cake. You know, U.S.
yeah,
Olympic team domination, '92 Olympics, but '96 we had Atlanta, and then after
yeah,
that, the dark times
yeah.
began.
But
The Empire.
Tom Cruise made a movie, and here's the thing: all credit goes to crew, cast, and even the writers and the people who are also involved, like Lady Gaga. I like a little bit of her songs here and there. I think that she's a nutcase in real life, Joe Biden voter and all that. But she did a song that was very catchy, very good, and she also helped write the score for the film as well, which was also composed
That's
by the
impressive.
original as well as Hans Zimmer. And when I am like needing to calm down and stuff, if I've had a really stressful day, I do the Hold My Hand instrumental or the Touchdown instrumental from Top Gun Maverick, where it's like, that is so freaking catchy and soothing. And it's a really good song, too.
Cool your afterburner jets down. You know.
Yeah. And it really does. And, but when I saw the movie, it's like, I'm watching the preview or the pre-screening on the Thursday before its Friday night release, and I'm literally on the edge of my seat, like leaning forward, watching this movie. I'm lit. I mean, when they say this is keeps you on the edge of your seat, this movie literally kept me on the edge of my seat.
It does.
And when I was leaving the theater, I was looking to grab my phone to let people know I was heading out of the theater, got my review coming up, only to realize that I left my theater without my phone. Thank God I could go back in because I hadn't gotten into the vehicle yet. It's like, oh crap, I left my phone in there. I'm sorry, man.
It's like
And
what Viper says in the original sequence. He's like, we're gonna teach you how to fly the F-14 faster than you ever flown before. Push you right at the edge of the envelope, and there are no
yep,
points for second best. That's it, man. It's
yeah.
an all-star.
And a lot of people, well, a lot of people say that Top Gun is the better of the two. I'm sorry. I'm a firm believer that Top Gun Maverick is indeed best of the two. We'll have to see with the third one, but chances are it's going to be a good one because Tom Cruise isn't pushing any of that bullshit in the movies. He doesn't care about any narratives from outside sources. He just wants to entertain. Now, I may not agree with some of the stuff that I have seen him say and do off screen. I mean, the whole yelling at people about COVID and whatnot.
The
But
Oprah couch.
that too. And but when it comes to his movies, the man puts out quality stuff. And this should have been a wake-up call for Hollywood. A lot of people were bitching that Top Gun Maverick was adopted by the right-wing extremists. When this movie made you $1 billion
1.5
without
billion.
China.
That is that's actually one of the reasons why we ended up seeing the films. John Cena, you have him, but again, it's about actually, making sure that you don't support the very things like, well, you know what, if he's going to change originally in the original Comic-Con trailer, this is like prior COVID,
Yeah,
it came out
they
where the
took out
patches, the original patches were changed, and we're like, all right, you know what, it's not going to be it. But then we were informed that those patches were back when
yep,
by into people that actually gone to the movie, and then we
yep.
watched it with a friend, and it was phenomenal. And our prediction, this is where we see it going, is I think Tom Cruise right now, he's going to do a test with a third Top Gun film, and
Mhm.
he might be seeing in his mind, again, this is our own opinion from open source information, he might be seeing in his mind, I could make Top Gun another standing franchise like I have done with Mission Impossible. He could easily get another couple films. He could finally become an admiral. But one of the cool ideas that could run with is, I mean, why not have it be a film where the Navy integrates in with Space Force and they got to go to the dark side of the moon, because they're hinting at that almost cosmic aircraft with the Dark Star sequence where he literally goes on a fighter
Oh yeah.
SR-71. So I think if he ends up doing this, he does a third film for a test sequence, and then that launches Top Gun into this, because then he can hand it off. You can do the whole change of command with the military, and you can just keep it going. This could be a new franchise that, it's just about the fans and the story and the danger zone.
Well, not only that, they have the third story pretty much. If they're smart about this, they gave you a hint of the third story in the second movie, which is Admiral Kane's drone program. Because
Exactly.
it's like they went as far as that, and then after he was about to get his ass grounded, he's like, "Times or the end of your era is coming, Maverick." And he's like, "Maybe so, sir, but not today." I mean, Top Gun Maverick, all
That was a
right,
great
he
scene.
basically, I've actually given my own thoughts on what a trail or what a movie or a story would be where the drone program is brought in and they will
You've
basically
seen the you've
have,
seen the film you've seen the film Stealth.
yes,
Yeah, exactly in that genre. Problems with the
pretty
drone
much
craft.
kind of that sort of situation where a drone goes
Rogue.
haywire or and accidentally the pilot or their drone program accidentally unleashes a little bit too much artillery somewhere, and he has to go in providing air cover for U.S. forces so that a foreign system or a foreign power doesn't get their hands on the tech. I mean, something
Combination
like
of like
that.
hacker movie meets Independence Day from the Counter Strike, and then stealth. And Maverick will get in his F-14, which will be too low tech to pick up on these signatures. Just like if you got a 1998 cell phone, it's too low tech to read. And there we go. As long as the F-14 always makes an appearance, even though
Yes.
it survived that one F-14 in the Top Gun Maverick, surviving this mass sub and crew
Yeah.
deaths, missile barrage is like, the one F-14, and it's in perfect maintenance condition, no impacts, nothing. That's awesome, and it works. Imagine that.
I mean, that's the thing that I absolutely loved about Top Gun Maverick was the final bit where you see the smoke and then you see the F-14 coming out of the smoke up at the camera,
Hmm.
blasting away with its guns. And it's like the return of the F-14 has never been more epic, you
That's right.
know? And when you have, it's like, we got an F-14 Tomcat heading our way. It can't be. It can't be. Ding. Maverick. It's like
That's it.
you hear that telltale ding from the bell. And it's like,
Yep.
then he's like, Maverick. And he's like, damn right, boy.
Captain Pete
But
Mitchell arriving.
I mean, here's the thing. I've watched how actual Top Guns watched this movie, folks. And they all said, while yes, there are some sequences that are absolutely not realistic, like the
Yeah.
taxiway takeoff, never would happen. But this movie was done with respect. And that is why Tom Cruise is so well respected, because he respects the source material. He wants, or he knows where to ask, what to ask. Sometimes he'll get told no, but you know what? He'll deal with it because he wanted to do an actual takeoff with the F-14 way back in the 80s. They said no. Then he's like, I would like to do a takeoff with the F-18. They told him, no, you'll be in the back seat acting like you are in the front seat,
Yeah.
like they did in all of the movies. Because if you pay attention to this movie, he's in the back seat because
Well, but he
that's how
not
they
when he's
did it.
not when he's flying the P-51. He did get to do that.
Yes, that was
and
his.
then and then gave a shout out to King Charles,
Hmm.
with the like, "Your Majesty, you've been my wingman." And it's got
Yeah.
some, like at the end of the day, it also has some just phenomenal shots of San Diego. Yeah, Point Loma,
Mm.
the Naval Air Station, the downtown, and it's like, wow, this is just like that scene in the original with Kelly McGinnis is on the motorcycle with them, and they're driving down the North Harbor Road. It's like, wow, like it's nostalgia, but there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing
No,
wrong with that.
not at all. I mean, that's the thing, folks. They are, and now with Top Gun 3 happening, they're saying, well, he hasn't been confirmed to be in the movie. He's gonna, that's only a matter of time. He's gonna be doing it. Now we can expect, or we got Ghost Protocol 2, or not Ghost Protocol 2, but Dead Reckoning 2 coming out, I think, this year. And he's gonna be doing production, or he's gonna be doing marketing for that. But we also have, or he's gonna be marketing the hell out of Top Gun 2. But going back to the jacket,
Yeah.
there was another movie that hit 1 billion without China, and that was the Joker,
Yep.
the Joaquin Phoenix movie. Great movie.
Which isn't a film. It's a great movie, but it's kind of like after you've watched it, you're like, I think this is a one-time movie because
Yeah.
it is intense.
Oh yeah. It's not a movie that you
Intense.
can rewatch over and over. Me, I've watched it 3 times as long as once in theaters and twice since I've owned it. Actually, no, I think once since I've owned it. And so only twice. And eventually I'll probably watch it again this year sometime. But the
And
or that
it's
was the
just part of
first
the
time.
it's just part of the multiverse. So it's like, well, it's not
Yeah.
following this. It's a specific story. It's
No,
like they made a
it's
branch story of it, and it
yeah, it's
was
an Elseworld.
fantastic. Yeah.
It's essentially an Elseworld. But that movie, which was, or to give you guys proper context of how monumental that film was in way of box office success, had a $55 million budget. That is the highest ranking movie percentage wise. Percentage wise. That has over 2,000% or some shit
Well,
success,
and
or
this is a
200% or something like that.
this is a good point. Not to double back completely, but
Yeah.
there was a whole thing with James Gunn with that. But let's talk about, like, just for a moment, his command and leadership. Well, he's got 4 films out. Shazam! Fury of the Gods, grossed it grossed about 125 million. Bomb. Its budget
Well,
was, and you have to usually add anywhere 50 to 100 million dollars of the global marketing costs with other hidden fees. So Shazam, he said, we're going to do Shazam, we're going to do um, the Blue Beetle, we're going to do the Flash, and then we're going to do Aquaman. Well, Blue Beetle, unfortunately, it's been overdone, that concept. So here's a great actor, and the family. We saw some highlights of it. The cast really was like, they were into it, but it's been overdone. So that's a bomb. And then you get into the Flash. Well, Ezra Miller is a whole different story, but just from a numbers, that's a bomb. And then
mhm.
basically the big picture, which we just referenced for Aquaman. Again, our precious Amber Fish and Amber Precious. It's like it's another bomb. So from a leadership perspective, it's like, dude, you got Arrow 0-4 with this grand 15-year plan, and then to your point, $55 million. It's like, hey, I
And
mean,
it
do the
made a
math.
billion. And not only
Exactly.
that, it did, or get this, folks, there was another movie, the swan song of Star Wars, The Rise of Palpatine. That movie was released around the
Not Ray
Joker.
Palpatine, right? It's not Ray Palpatine.
Yeah, it's Ray Palpatine. Yeah. The Rise of Ray Palpatine.
Oh
And
man.
and get this, folks. That movie underperformed compared to Joker. It didn't beat Joker, and it had an extended release. An extended release. And
Mhm.
Joker still outperformed it by a couple hundred grand. That's still outperforming a Star Wars movie. Not to mention how the media and the United States military went on alert because of the Joker movie. And the director basically told them, Joker kills like a handful of people in this movie, and yet all you fuckers are basically worried about that when John Wick basically slaughters the world and not a peep out of you.
The Marquis de Gramont. How do I find
Yeah.
him? Paris.
Yeah, it's like Paris. But yeah, getting back to it, this movie comes out, and Tom Cruise heard the whining, or rather the outcry from the fans about the patch. So he's like, we are going to put that patch back in. We just digitally did it to satisfy China, but we also let China know the movie is going to have that patch in it. Well, China then told us to fuck off. Well, we fucked off, and guess what? We made $1 billion without
A
China.
billion five.
Yep,
So this is
1.5 bill.
yeah, I don't know how much farther you're gonna take Top Gun, but our kind of like 2 points, 2 final points on it, so we
Mhm.
don't dominate it too much. If there's another Top Gun movie, when Ed Harris, who's the admiral, is talking to Maverick, he's like 30 years of service, only man to shoot down 5 enemy aircraft in the last 10 years, and you should be a 2-star admiral right now, but here you are, captain. Why is that? They at least better give Maverick a star. He better be Admiral Pete Mitchell,
No,
a
because
one star.
he's always said in this movie, I'm where I belong. I'm a naval aviator. I can't, that is what, or I've, he can't get promoted. It's not that he can't get promoted. He refuses promotion because he doesn't want to ride a desk.
That would be the tie into Space Force, is that they would promote him to 1 star, and he would lead a special naval team into the new craft. And just like the admirals of old with ship and sail, he would basically be the 1 star, and he'd be flying in space and Earth. But I don't know if they have the creativity to do that. I
Or
really don't.
they could pull a Shatner. It's like you can't,
Exactly.
or they could pull a Perry Mason sort of. It's like you can't judge or you can't try a case if you're a judge. So we're gonna have to bust you down in order to put you back in a cockpit. So it's
Yep.
like, you know what? I don't care. You need me for this mission.
The immortal sergeant in Starship Troopers was like, "I'm going to bust myself down to private, sir," and he's then saying to Johnny Rico, "Sir." He's like, "Wow." It's like, here we are, full circle. But that's
Yeah.
the second point with, an important lesson is most people are not aware of what happened with Hollywood in the 20s and 30s when you had Germany on the rise, but particularly with the German film industry underneath certain leadership. And Hollywood did business, which is staggering because it was a country about 80 to 90 million people. So, and the US had about 113, 120 million. Soviets were at 180 million. So the Hollywood mentality was like, well, let's do business with Germany, even up to the point when the war was going on. And so they took a lot of the anti-Semitic and the terrible laws that were being set up. Hollywood basically designed its film industry to complement that so it would be shown in German cinemas, etc. So they basically were subordinates to that to a degree. Um, and
There's
and what's interesting with that is the same approach than the last 15 years that Hollywood took with China was they said, hey, we'll engage with China, we'll do what they say, and we'll have the billions and we'll have in the profits. But the Chinese Mandarin culture is fundamentally different and is anti a lot of the culture of Hollywood and its message. And we've all
Yep.
seen this with the hypocrisy, with John Boyette. His image is gone, certain, theater posters in China or minimized, etc. So Hollywood is essentially miscalculated. And if you remove China, there's no other market right now for them to go because what they've been doing is they're saying we'll get the overseas to get the profit and the domestic will make the local budget. Well, now they don't have that luxury and they miscalculated and the
Yeah.
dollars and the cents are coming due.
And
So,
it's funny that you actually mentioned about the relationship between Hollywood and Germany at the time, because also later on in the 80s when Die Hard came out, they actually had to say that these people aren't German, or during the dubbing, they said they're European instead of German because, well, the movie was going to be shown in Germany.
they were East Germans,
So,
probably.
yeah,
Could have been a pretty
but
good cowboy yourself, Hans.
yeah, but getting back to it, Top Gun 3, they should use or they should or hopefully they'll use the drone, because it would be a shame not to.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
bring back the the upgrade to the
Dark
SR-71,
Star.
which,
Dark
yeah,
Star
Dark Star,
hybrid craft, new
yeah, the
crafts,
Raven,
drone
or
crafts.
yeah, it was, or I believe they called it the Raven,
Yeah. Yeah,
which
Tom
also kind of
Cruise.
looked like a Raven too with the eyes.
Tom Cruise's human high-tech ship is the mothership for like a
Yeah.
squadron of drone fighters that he can control. It's like one squadron led by him against like 1,000 drones. But of course,
hmm
Maverick wins.
I mean, he would basically be, or the way I see it, they would be testing it against the Top Guns, and even him, and he would actually go, or every other Top Gun would get their asses kicked. Where he would go in, he would actually beat the drone.
Or he goes even darker, where basically it's a lethal attempt at first strike, and they take out basically 90% of all the Top Gun aviators by
Yeah.
flipping the drone switch on, and then top Maverick with whatever's left. they get to a new location and they counterstrike, but it kind of like neutralizes the whole U.S. defense capability. It was essentially a surprise attack.
I mean,
And they
there's
do it
so
with
much
F-14s. They do it with
Yeah.
F-14s.
No, F4 or they barely scraped by, or the way they did the F-14 versus the Su-74s.
The Sukhoi.
Yeah, the fifth gens. The way they did that was realistic, where semi-realistic, where it was crazy ass flying or against these guys, and bare shit luck, because they were dead if it wasn't for freaking Hangman. But
well, maybe they can be the F-14Zs modded up, but who knows?
I mean, chances are, put him in an F-22. Let's see how he does in an F-22.
That's a good
versus
idea,
these suckers. But yeah, there are so many different ways the story could be told. But I am hoping that they do the drones in the next one, because it felt like it was incomplete.
Yeah, definitely.
Not to mention, I gotta give Ed Harris props for standing like that when they did that.
That was a great shot
over his head, because he's just like, yeah, and the whole fucking roof comes off, and it's like, yeah, that actually happened. Holy shit!
You have him at the opening of the movie when he gets out of his car and he sees Dark Star taking off with Maverick in it. And you don't even need to see his eyes. You just know behind his glasses, he is just fuming. Like,
he's Taylor Swift in it.
Maverick.
It's like, don't you dare! Don't you do it! You're gonna pull up, son of a bitch.
This is why you're captain. I'm the admiral.
Yeah, Admiral Kane is ordering you to bring it down. At 7 Russian. Oh yeah, we've had problems with this part of the comms, sir. It's the curvature of the Earth. It's called Earth bulge. And it's like, that is so fucking bullshit. I might actually watch this movie after we're done tonight.
And his character, he knows it. He's like, you guys are lying to me, but I can't stop you. I will
have that in your Pentagon budget. What?
I will talk to the captain once he's back on the ground.
Oh yeah, he was gonna, and it's like, just as that
call
came in, fired. Impeccable timing. Just as I was coming here to ground your ass. Then but Iceman's no longer. Thing is, he's no longer protected. He may have protection from Bo Simpson, Admiral Simpson, now that he's got his respect. But you need a fleet admiral to basically, I mean, they should probably, or they never did say that Viper was dead. I mean, how old is Tom Skerritt?
That could be a stretch, but it could work, because he was a commander in the film when they were lieutenants. So he would have had about 15 years on them, and probably would have been, quote unquote, prior enlisted or something like that. So he would have had his time, but yeah, he would have. It's not impossible. Maybe they could also get Michael Ironside too and start bringing back the crew. But I think that was a tragic, beautiful moment in the film that shows the respect, because to have Val Kilmer's character have the cancer, and then again a magnificent, completely accurate flyover military funeral, where you really think it's an actual funeral because of the way they shot it, and it's beautiful. Just powerful.
Tom Skerritt's 90 years old. He's going to be 91. So
they could do it with makeup and CGI. They could do it.
They could probably do it.
It doesn't have to be for very long. He could do it.
But they could do it. But you know what? How old is Michael Ironside?
Probably.
How old is Michael Ironside?
Probably like late 70s, 80s.
73.
Oh, he's done. He can do it. He can do it.
Yeah. James Tolkien is 92. He's older than Tom Skerritt. Holy crap. Tolkien was Baldy from Top Gun 1. From the carrier. You screw up just this much, you'll be flying a cargo ship full of rubber dog shit out of Hong Kong.
He was also the superb, uh,
Cop
80s
and
police chief
yeah,
in Masters of the Universe, which
yep.
again, another
Lubick.
great film. Yeah.
I mean, he is also in or he was also in the Back to the Future trilogy. Dude
Oh yeah.
he was peak 80s.
It's everyone.
But yeah, I mean, they could possibly, or maybe they could get I'm hoping they get Tom Skerritt or Michael Ironside, man.
I
I mean,
think
who
Tom Cruise is probably thinking about this. If he does, if he has, it's all going to come back to this third film. If it goes, we'll see a lot. But if he gets this third film and he gets another 1.5 billion or so, then
without China?
yeah, I personally think, I think he has a longer vision for Top Gun.
Yeah,
And hey, maybe he can make Henry Cavill the new Maverick to take over his
that would be
tactical
so
position.
freaking cool to have. Well, most of those are. That would be cool to actually have Cavill in the Top Gun series.
Yeah.
I mean,
Takes
I
up the
like that.
mantle.
Man, he got everybody in, or when he did his movie with Mission Impossible, with that whole kind of thing that he did. It's like and it's like, what is this, Rock'em Sock'em Robot? And so he had to teach everybody on Oprah when he went on it. It's like, okay, 1, 2, there you go. It's like, but
He's anyway, yeah, we're good.
but it's like, what the hell was that all about? But getting back to Cruise, oh my God, man, he is what is getting people in seats. Tom
That's the
Cruise
model.
he is the last great star power,
And nothing is new. So you look at this, the star name. This was Hollywood goes in cycles. So 20s, 30s, and 40s up into about mid 50s, it was the star power. The name got
Yeah.
people in the seats.
Mhm.
Then you shifted to where the brand got people in seats. Now that the brands are over and diminished, because the independent creators, the independent films, they can't get it distributed. So you might have some
No.
amazing films hit Cannes or hit some independent things, like that phenomenal YouTube video that
Oh,
Astartes that was done.
mhm.
But you're never going to get it distributed.
But
So
also,
you have the star power that is going to be what is unique amongst this AI and tech dominated age. Because that's that South Park joke about Netflix, like just write everything, and we'll make it a show.
yeah. And then, as we said in the article, he's got a thing going on with Warner Brothers because they want the Live, Die, Repeat Edge of Tomorrow sequel. And honestly, I do not think they need one. I really don't think they need one
I agree with you
because that
on the.
movie
I agree
ended
with you
with,
on the sequel. Yeah,
I believe that
prequel.
movie ended perfectly.
They could do a
I mean,
trilogy. They could do a trilogy where they do two prequels, and if you working back. So if Live, Die, Repeat was the ending, the middle could be the Battle of Verdun, and then the first one could be how did it all come. And then you have
yeah,
an integration, and then end it trilogy. It's the 3 arc story. That's why George Lucas's original Star Wars trilogy was so brilliant. He just wrote one story, beginning, middle,
yep.
end, hero's journey, cut in thirds,
The
and
only problem is Tom Cruise would never go for that because if he's a part of it, he wants to be in the front.
well, he can, because if we did it with like that, where it centers around Verdun, it could even do it where he actually does go into Verdun, and that's why he goes to become a major rank with the news, and that's
Except
when
that
it makes it.
he was in that movie, he was never, or he never saw combat. He did what he did because he wanted to avoid combat.
Right. Well, that could be, if we work back, that could be the reason why, is that he just doesn't talk about it, or maybe he wasn't in combat, but he saw like what happened at Verdun. And he's like, I'm not, because he joined. So there's some interesting things that could go back, but it
Yeah.
would work. It could work if they did it working back, but not working
Yeah.
forward, because the war's over. We won.
Yeah. And also, I mean,
Scientology is real.
I've given I've given that movie basically a 9.5. A few problems here and there. Subjectively, it's 9.5, mind you. It's basically a 9 out of 10 or an 8.5 to 9 objectively, in my opinion.
We'll give it a
Or
3.8 out of 4 popcorn tubs. So
nice. But yeah, if they would take out like 1 to 2 seconds, which is the shot of Hillary Clinton, take her out of it, you got a perfect movie. And I'm not saying that because I hate Hillary Clinton. I mean, yes, I do hate Hillary Clinton, but by putting her in it, you dated the movie by
that's
putting a
actually a
real
great
life
point.
politician in it.
Yeah, with that you have a timestamp of it with
Yeah.
it happened during this time. So then you have to work back from that
And not
time.
only that, you're basically saying she's going or she was president at the time. No, the fuck she wasn't.
Or
She
sex
never was
state
and never will be.
or sex state or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, your point about like don't make it too
I wouldn't
visible
want
when it
Trump in a
happens.
movie. I wouldn't want Pence in a movie. I don't want anybody in, or any politicians in a movie unless they are not the character that they are in real life. You know?
Yeah, because it constrains what you can do for sequels and prequels and then expansion if it becomes a hit.
I mean, you have freaking Donald Trump in Little Rascals. I love that bit too, where he's the father of that kid or the rich kid, also Home Alone. Where's the lobby? Down the hall and to your left. And they
Waldo,
actually,
you're
yeah,
the best
they
son money
actually,
can buy.
yeah. And it's like they actually took that out of the Home Alone 2 film for TV release in Canada.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, they actually skipped the Trump scene in Home Alone 2 in Canada because they didn't like Orange Man. But yeah,
That is
anyway,
a
folks.
that's a beautiful sequence of the
Mhm.
hotel, by the way. If
Yeah,
that shot is beautiful.
yeah, it really is. So anyway, folks, that is going to wrap up the stream. I do want to thank everybody who tuned in. Um, and also Novus for joining. We had Darth Zathra, Novus in the chat, Anime Knight, and Vanya. And anybody else who was in the chat, thank you so much for tuning in. This or Tuesday, I have my Tuesday theme stream, which is a versus stream of White House Down versus Olympus Has Fallen. I just finished watching both of those movies. I saw Olympus Has Fallen for the first time yesterday. I just finished White House Down today. I seen that, or I own that physical copy, but I saw it again just to refresh. And I will be talking the difference between those two, and which one's better. Tuesday night, I will be on the Barroom podcast on Jacob's from Society Reviews channel. Wednesday, I am on Mara's channel for National Treasure 2, Book of Secrets. Thursday is The Rock on my channel with Mara. Friday, or then
I'm
the
only borrowing
31st.
your Humvee.
Yeah. The 31st of January is also a special singles where me and Mara are going to be discussing Nick Cage's and John Travolta's Face Off. So those are the absolute planned things. Plus, I have other streams for Tuesdays, theme streams for the upcoming Tuesdays. So yeah, Novus, anything you want to plug before we get going?
Hey, really appreciate Orange for letting me come on, and just for all we talked about some really good items today. And with Novus Renaissance, we are creating. We've got the whole supernatural fantasy with the epic of pre-flood Earth lore. So if you're wondering about that great flood of humanity, we're going back and before that, we've got our first book out last couple of years with a massive cosmic civil war in the heavens. And we're putting new content with videos and going to get into a lot more short stories. And Epic Tales and us, we worked together to do a prototype draft for an animated series. And in 2024, we're trying to like make something about 6 episodes. So if you want to actually take to heart what we've been talking about with wanting creation and you want different things, then come on over to the channel and come part of the Door verse. And again, thank you very much for letting us come. And until the next time, stay
Yep.
safe, stay blessed, and Ave.
All righty. So, yep, folks, with that, stay tuned. I'll try to get more content out or if it comes in. And yeah, just stay tuned for it, folks. And thank you so much for tuning in. See you all on Tuesday. This has been Orange Hat and Novus. Have a wonderful day. And always remember, stay humble.
To everybody.